What's up everyone, welcome back to our how-to series where we're coding a heist script for QBCore and ESX. Pretty straightforward thus far. Some things have been complicated, but we are getting there. I like to finish our little door lock system, right? Can't recall quite where we left off. I do remember that we created our doors in our thread, and we had a minigame trigger, right? Then in our client side we had our create door zones, right? Where we created door zones for each door and, you know, had that going for us. Let me just check here real quick. Right, so we had our global state in our thread, which is no problem. And we need a function, or rather an event, in our server side to change or alter the door's state. So let's start with that. Register server event, right? I think what I want to call it is obviously something server, but update door state, right? And then we will add an event handler for this event. Now, what do I want to take in? Function, yeah, and I'll just delete that. I don't think we need a source, but we'll take it in anyway. We will probably take in the door hash, the probably door name, maybe not. Definitely the lock state of it. And we'll then update our doors accordingly. So first of all, what I would like to do is this. Not that way around, but this way around. Local doors is equal to global state doors. So I have a local variable called doors where we pull in all of the data for the doors. Okay, then I want to check if not doors. So we want to check whether or not doors has actually been initialized, so whether or not we were able to successfully pull the data from the global state. So if we did not receive that, then we will just return. My language got lost there. Alright, we also added a little debug statement. So what we will do is door states could not be retrieved. What? Retrieved. Right. Door states could not be retrieved. Okay. Then if it was successfully retrieved, we will do the following. Right. We will purely set the door state. Right. This is purely to update the state of the doors, and we have to make sure that we give toNumber lock state. So we'll just call toNumber, and that'll force it to take in 0 or 1 as a number, because in Lua you can use 0 or 1 as Boolean values as well, so either true or false, right? So we just want to make sure that it specifically takes it in as a number. Right, we will have a similar function, event, in our client side. Right, so let's head over to our events right at the bottom. Going to start off by register net event. Right, I'm gonna paste that in. We're just registering it. This will be the client side event, right? And we'll add an event handler for this particular event, and we will basically call the same variables. However, we will not call source. We will just call or give them these values. We don't need the door name. I do realize now. So I guess what we can do is give it the door hash, the lock state, but also ask for the doors. The reason I want to do it this way is so that we only have one check that happens server side, and if it is successful, it just sends the data to the client, right? Well, I mean, we don't have to. We could always just, you know, add the local doors is equal to global state dot doors, and that'll be the same thing, right? So maybe computationally this would be quicker, especially across networks. Instead of having to send a bunch of data over the network, that might be a safer bet, right? Yeah, there's a reason I did that. So we want to trigger client event. We will give it these variables, yes, but we'll also give it this event name, and I guess we do -1 to send it to all players, door hash, and lock state. Okay. So we want to update the door state to all the players. That is why we do the -1, so that we send it to all of the local, all of the clients that is connected to the server. And this will basically just be a, a copy of this. And that should be that for updating the door state, right? I cannot quite recall. In our threads, we do need another that I guess we could just pair with this. So we can do is something similar. We'll do local doors. No, global state dot doors is equal to c dot doors. It's not local, it is global state. Let me just check. It is this way around. My bad. My bad. My bad. You can just remove that, and before that we'll just put local doors is equal to... Right. So what'll happen is whenever someone joins the server, this thread will run, right? And what this thread will do is basically initialize or gather all of the door state information and give that to the client so that the client knows all of the states of all of the doors. Right. And I will just grab this and paste it there. So 4k door. So basically for each door in doors, we do what? We add door to system, hash, model, and coordinate. So we'll grab that from the config, I believe. Well, it'll be similar, right? Because our global state.doors is a copy of our config.doors. So this would be the door.door hash door.model hash, door.coordinates. Right, door hash. This would be door.model hash, and this would be door.coords. Right, and then we will basically just update it. So our locked state would be our default lock state, which would be lock state, right, as we have set it over here. Right. Now, let me just check. Have we done everything? I believe so. Right, so we have our client event and our service side door update scenario. Let me just double check that we've completed it fully. We have not. Right, we have to do the following. So doors, and door name would theoretically in this case be door hash. Actually not. It would not be. We will need to call door name as a variable as well, right? Because this in here is our door name and that is our door hash. So this does not equal that. That is why we need to take in the door name, which will be a string and not a hash, right? So doors, and the reason we have the square bracket and door name is, look, if I hover on it, we can see over here that is the string we need to take in. So we need to basically pinpoint that specific door and then access its table, right? So this dot locked is supposed to be lock state, right? Is equal to lock state. Then we set our global doors to doors again, right? Why? First, we start by saying doors is equal to the global state. Then we alter the table, and therefore we have to reassign doors to the global state so that we basically restate the global state. And then we can set the door state on the system and trigger our client event on all clients to update said door state. Right, so in our client we will have our event, which is just here, and it'll just update our door state. We don't even need the rest of that. It'll purely be door system set door state. Right, therefore we only need to call the door hash and the lock state. Super simple. Right, over here I believe this is fine. Because we are just pulling data from the global state. That is why we don't add a line here saying global state dot doors is equal to doors, right? So the reason we don't do this is because we're only pulling data from it. We're not putting data back into it, right? And whenever we alter a door, we'll call the server event, which will then in fact alter the state, the global state, and then it'll send data to the client saying, hey, listen, we updated the door state, so update your side too. Super simple. that should be most of it complete. Let me just get this running. I'm hoping the correct one opens. That's fantastic. Right. So I believe we have added our custom door lock system. And certain times we can do that. How will we do that? In our server script, we have a thread running. Right, we actually have two threads. One for the door lock, and this is the one that we'll use, in fact. Why? Because it is related to the doors that we want to lock between certain times, and this one only waits 1 millisecond, whereas this one waits a minute. Okay, so what we want to do is have a check. Remember, in our client side, we had our test function that got the hour and minute of our clock. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this. You know what? I'm just going to copy all of that. Okay. Then I want to do that. So what's going to happen is, maybe we do want it every minute. I think that is better. So what I'll do is take that out, and likely in the functions have a local function, right? Maybe call it confirm time. For now, that is what we'll call it. And if I can just get that to close, within that we will get the time. So similar logic, if the hour is equal to or larger than heist.openHour, or our hour is smaller than or equal to the close hours, so all of this logic remains the same. If the hour is okay and the minute is okay, then we will have some logic. Otherwise, we will return. So let's pause that real quick, because now I need to remember what I told myself and the rest of you guys about the lock time. Right, hydration check for those who haven't hydrated yet. I can't recall if this was the thing we wanted to do or this. So either having the door locked between certain times, or it always being locked and only lock pickable during certain times, which I think is the better choice, right? Let me think. What would be better in a roleplay scenario? Would you rather be able to have it lock picked during certain times and locked all of the time? Probably that is the best bet. So I guess this confirmed time we can just cut out of there. Let me just check I didn't mess anything up here. That's fine. So I guess in our client what we can do is do this. Right. Below our unload model, I'll do the confirm time. Right. If it is okay, then we'll return true, else we'll return false. Okay. So confirm time will return a Boolean value. So what we can do is simply do this. If confirm time, then we do some things, actually just put an else in there. So if confirm time and not dc dot heist triggered, then we do that. Else we do that, and then we can remove all of that. Then our code is much cleaner because we are using a function. And what I'm going to do in fact is not have confirm time, but change it to correct time. Right. That way it makes more logical sense when you call it in an if statement. So if it's the correct time and the heist is not triggered, then we can trigger the heist basically, or, you know, add item if can, which is the block item. Technically we can remove that, right? Because this is purely to give the key that is required to trigger the heist. So I think let's do it that way. Okay, and then where was the other place? This was the other place we used the correct time variable or function. I mean, if the correct time logic is what I meant to say, then else. Okay, we'll do something like this. Just slap that in there. I don't know why that's a thing, like me saying that all the time. Right. So if it is the correct time, then we do this. Right, where does current minigame come from? From get door data. Current door, get door data. That'll get us the minigame and the settings. So we will trigger a minigame. And that is what? Okay. I need to start remembering what I'm saying. Because, yeah. Right. What I'm gonna do is the following. I want to check the amount of items to give NPC. And yeah, the reason I want to do that is for the following reasons. I think it would be nice. Remember we had heist.keys available. I would like to instead not check for correct time, but whether or not there is keys available to give, right? So instead of checking for the time, because remember you can go grab the key at any time, so I think let's remove that straight away. Get that gone, get that gone. Right, then we alter this a little bit, right? Obviously we'll start with local given, which is calling this callback. Okay, if not given, then we return in. So if we weren't able to give the key, then we just, you know, end. Right, but instead of doing it that way, we'll have an else and an end, and we'll do that. So if it was given, then we do some things. Otherwise, if it was not given, we just return. Okay. Maybe we just add that to there, remove that return, and this will then be stuck in there. Right, so what'll happen is if we just released the necessary key to talk to the ped, we will attempt to give the item, and then if it's given, we just hide the text UI, and that should theoretically just be that, right? Because we won't trigger the heist until we've lockpicked the door, which can only be done during certain times of the day. Now, in our server-side callback where we have the can add item, or add item if can, we'll do exactly that. Item name is trigger item and keys remaining. So we can only give a key if there is a key to give. Right. So actually we've already done that, to be honest. Okay. So all of that logic still stays the same. We just bail out if there's no more keys remaining. Right. And obviously it'll return false. So this notification is a-okay. We'll still say, sorry, I've already handed over my key. Not a problem. Right. So that should be fine. And only in lockpicking the door we will check the correct time. Yes, logically that makes way more sense. So hopefully if we are inside a door zone, we'd be able to do that. So I think in the next episode we will try and figure out whether or not our create doors function works properly, and this we will only do when maybe we call an event as soon as, you see, when we hide this after the item has been given, we might want to create our door zones. Now that'll require us to move all of these functions to above where we call our thingy. So above this on enter, we will have our door zones. And that should be fine because the other functions that are required are above that. So once we basically press the button, we will create the door zones. And we will see whether or not that works properly. So, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate everyone's interactions on these videos. I have not forgotten, imagine that. I've not forgotten about the 0 to 100 series and the fuel trailer series. I'm just trying to figure out a solution to that script. And I'll be honest, it's gotten me a bit down the other day. So, taking a little break from it might actually be a good thing, right? So, yeah, fun times. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a fantastic day and I'll catch you in the next one.